So I'm going to do a short version of my talk on leadership. I think leadership really boils down to about three basic things. One is called lead by example. The other one is manage heuristics. And the third one is invest in your people. So what do I mean by when I talk about lead by example? I mean, I got that phrase initially when I was in the military, along with my most valuable leadership lesson, which goes with a story I'm going to tell. So basically, I'm in the military, and I'm maybe 21, 22 years old. I was a fast burner, what they call. Basically, I made rank really, really quickly. So all of a sudden, I found myself not only in charge of my peers, but I actually was a supervisor of some of the people that I used to report to. So long story short, once this situation occurred, I found myself in a culture where everybody was unhappy, I was miserable, and so I called one of my guys aside. Every organization has that truth teller, the one that's not going to, blow smoke. They're going to literally tell you what they really think. So I pulled him aside and I said, look, over the last few months, it seems like the morale has gone down, the culture's really rough, we're not as productive, I just don't feel, like things are going really well. I mean, these are the guys I used to hang out with. We had a great time at work. I said, it's just not happening now. Am I being overly sensitive? Is something going wrong? And he says, no, actually what's happened, he goes, is since you made rank, you've become a real asshole. And I said, thank you, Troy. And I kind of walked away. It was a Friday afternoon. I left and I thought about this like all night, so much so that I couldn't even sleep. And it wasn't until about Saturday afternoon that I realized he was right. He was absolutely right. The position changed, the rank changed, it really had gone to my head, and I completely changed who I was. And I decided that Saturday that that's not the leader that I wanted to be. And so I finally slept, and Sunday I spent the day thinking back on leaders that I had experienced, leaders I'd read about, and I started listing all the qualities of those leaders that I really, really liked. And even some of the leaders that I'd already had in the military, some from school, from coaching, coaches that I'd had, and from Boy Scouts even. And I listed all these qualities, and I figured out which ones I really, really wanted to emulate. And so Monday morning, we always had a weekly launch meeting. There's maybe 80, 120 people in the maintenance bay, and we have a kickoff meeting. And in that meeting, I basically apologized. I said, look, guys, I said, and ladies, I said, I'm really sorry. I said, I went about this the wrong way. That's not the leader that I want to be. I said, this is the leader that I want to be. And I listed out those qualities to them. And so for me, it was a really valuable lesson in leadership. And I started emulating those new qualities. And those qualities carried our unit to a service award that you can only get out of combat. And it was the highest award you could achieve, presidential unit citation. So it worked. So what I would recommend is leading by example doesn't just mean if you want people to work hard, you work hard. It also means if you want people to be authentic with you, be authentic with them. If you want respect, respect them first. If you want transparency, be transparent with them first. Because you're the leader and you're in the position of authority, it's really up to you to kind of set the right stage for everything. And you have to do it first because you are in the position of power and authority. And once you do that and people see that you're genuine, they'll reciprocate that in turn. So that's really leading by example in my book. The second topic I want to talk about is managing heuristics. Now, most leadership thought I borrow from the best in the business. And now at Growth Institute, I'm around some of the best in the world, so to speak, in so many of these topics. But this leadership topic is something that I created, and the word heuristics I brought to the business world and business theory. So everyone's heard of the term strategy. So strategy is essentially your big picture. What's your big picture, your go-to-market plan on how you're going to dominate your industry and your market segment? And then the next stage down is tactics. Tactics are what are your business units, what are your actions, what are your initiatives that you're going to actually undertake step by step to accomplish the goal of your strategy. And then heuristics is like this next layer of your organization that most people are not familiar with. So heuristics essentially means rules of thumb. And everyone kind of has these rules of thumb that they live by. They're kind of like these subconscious decisions that they make on a daily basis based on their beliefs about the context in which they work. So for example, if I have a frontline worker, and let's say the strategy is we want to go to market with quality. Quality is our thing. But at the middle management layer, all this person hears is, we got to cut costs. We're over budget. We're behind on schedule. We really got to cut corners and make things happen. So the person at the front line hears that message. So let's imagine for a second that we manufactured, these glasses. And a frontline worker sees a pair of these glasses, and you know what? The frame color's just not exactly right. It's a little wonky. But the glasses are okay. So do you think that worker lets that glasses go through because they're okay? or do they actually pull them back because of the color, because of the quality issue? And in most cases, what will happen is they'll let it go. Because what they heard is we have to cut costs, we have to reduce overhead. They don't hear as often that message about going to market as quality, doing quality work. So this is a rule of thumb that employee then carries with them. So on average, the average person, depending on whose research you read, makes between 3,000 and 35,000 of these subconscious decisions, rules of thumb, on a daily basis. So let's take the most conservative estimate, and let's say it's 3,000. And let's go even more conservative, and let's say only 10% of those decisions actually relate to their work, to their job. That's still 300 decisions, these rules of thumb, that every employee in your organization or exercises every single day in the actions that they take and the decisions that they make. It could be how they respond to a customer, a coworker, how they answer an email, how they do their job, how they work on the product that you've got that you're developing. It could be any of those things. And these rules of thumb are really what drives your business. Think of how many employees you have and how many of these kinds of decisions they're making every single day. This is really what drives your business. It's like a secret layer of an organization that most people aren't aware of and don't manage. So let's move on to investing in people. So I feel like investing in people is one of the most rewarding and one of the strongest leverage points in an organization. What I mean by that is, for example, we do a performance coaching method here. So we look at 4 things. So first of all, we want to understand what is this person's role and what do they need to enhance their role? What tools do they need? What skill sets do they still need to develop? Do they need help smoothing out a relationship with another department? Like, what is it this employee needs to really, really, really do their role top notch? So that's one category. The other category is, what are their strengths? Like, there's a great book called, Now Discover Your Strengths, which talks about strengths. So one of the key things that I took out of that concept, though, is if you have a strength and then you have a weakness, you can actually leverage the strength, and it's more valuable for you to spend your time leveraging your strength as opposed to working on mitigating a weakness. Now, only if that weakness is really holding you back do you address it. You're better off really spending your time leveraging your strengths. What you will get out of that, the value that to receive from that, will be 3 or 4 times what you would get from mitigating a weakness. So we want to discover what are our employees' strengths. Maybe they're a very strategic thinker. Maybe they love doing infographics. Maybe they love doing standard operating procedures. Maybe they love doing public speaking. Anything like that. What are their strengths and how can we leverage that more in our organization or in their role? Either one. And we want to get them doing things that they're really good at. When people are doing something that fits with their strengths, they tend to do a better job. They're more productive. They're more efficient. They're more effective. They're more engaged with their work. They're happier on a daily basis. The things that they don't like doing are the things that they procrastinate about. And the things that they procrastinate about are typically not things that fit their strength. So I would also suggest in this category that you consider moving things that don't fit someone's strength. If you can't rework them, move them to someone whose strength that does fit, regardless of role requirements and departments and job duties and things. I think it's a smart way to go. So that's the second category. The third and fourth categories are about goals. I want to understand each person's personal goals and each person's professional goals, and I want to help them develop those. And this means obviously if they want to do something else in the organization, let's start planning for that professional goal. So let's say I had someone that wanted to go into sales. What I might do is I might go talk to the manager of sales and say, hey, would it be okay if this person maybe sat in on some of your training? Maybe they shadowed one of your people at a networking event. Really expose them to what's going on in the sales world to see if that's really something they want to do, and give them a leg up that should an opening happen in that department, they're prepared to jump over there and go for it. On the personal side, like I've even spent time at my lunch hour coaching someone or helping someone, tutoring someone in their biology homework, knowing full well that once they got the degree, they were actually going to go do something else that they were passionate about and leave our company. But I was okay with that because I'm that committed to the person's personal goals that I want to help them achieve that as best I possibly can. I feel like if you invest in your people in this way, if you really commit to helping them succeed in their role, in leveraging their strengths, in their professional and personal goals, that you will find they are more caring and invested in your business. And the success that you will achieve doing this is monumental. So these 3 things brought together essentially are my kind of 3 secrets to leadership. So leading by example, managing your heuristics, investing in people, and finally, don't be an asshole.